Hey there, Silver-Tongued Devil here. Tonight, we are the Fast and the Fletcherous, once again. Continuing from Purgatory 3, we're now going to be looking at my particular idiom of doing Fletcher and what tactics and strategies we want to be using when we start getting to the higher cycles. So as always, let's go! This could potentially be a very short stream if Primal Hunt has messed up my my button presses. We shall see. I don't know if you want to get something going in the chat. If you want to count every time I manage to shard backwards, if we can if we can keep a count of that going, that'll be hilarious. I can see it happening already. So, first thing I am going to discuss, because obviously I watch back through my videos to make sure I'm nailing the points. Now, I think we got the orphan. Oh, it's that hand, isn't it? Do I even play this game anymore? So, I think we nailed the orphan in our last outing, but let's have a quick check. Oh, maybe we didn't. No, that would be very unlike me to not smash orphan and then run away. So I think we might have the pit to do. Let's go and have a look. Can't remember. Life's a blur. Right, let's have a quick... Whilst I'm chatting, I'm going to have a quick check. I cannot remember. Although I do review my videos. I mean, you know, that's just to take stock of what I said and not necessarily what I did. So yeah, one of the... So for those of you who are just joining us now, the tactic that I'm going to be employing for Fletcher is something that I like to dub the orphan annihilation or orphanihilation. Yeah, we better check all the way back. I'm sure I didn't, you know. Bad form on my part, this is. Can't remember. So, what we're basically looking at doing, as you all know from Fletcher by now, if you're watching this and are aware of the Fletcher mode, random arrow generated for us each time. Every time we miss, costs us a point of damage. Hello, Sean. So don't miss, right? Now, that is a lot easier said than done. What I like to do, and what I'm hoping to show you, is an not necessarily easier tactic, or not even the most efficient, but a very quick fire way to get a decent position on the scoreboard. And if you can do it like I'm doing, you can get a very decent position on the scoreboard. And the way... That was not meant for you. So you can get a decent position on the leaderboard out of this. Now, I think we might just be straight on for old Annie here. I'm pretty sure I've got the orphan, and I think I got the pit, but as seems to be the style of the times at the moment, I would have liked to save that as well. As seems to be the style of the times at the moment, I'm finishing my streams with no battery. Not even getting an after party half the time, so rushing to finish. But hopefully that'll be all changed tonight. So a couple of things that I was thinking of with this tactic, because of course it's not for everybody, and one of the ways that you could extrapolate more on it, or extrapolate more points out of it rather, would be to do exactly what I'm doing. Take stock of your life at that point and then weigh up the merits of taking out extra enemies. Now, I could do that, but I don't find taking out the enemies in this style very exciting. Jumping in there, executing the orphan rather, and then jumping straight out, no other engagements, and then just heading straight for the boss. That's exciting. Doing the pits. That's exciting. And that's where all the points are. And that is the other side of the coin. Well, I suppose it's the same part of the coin. If we're going after every orphan, then we have to go for... I don't like it. Don't like it. We have to go for the orphans in the pits. And obviously to escape the pits, we need to kill the things in the pits. So what I'm going to attempt to do here... Yes, I did hear that. Good effort. See, it's worth points because I can get headshots on a lot of this crowd. But Tempest is actually one of the arrows that I'm after, and I'll show you why. Because I'm going to attempt, because it's been a while, I'm going to attempt to be a little bit more clever with doing old Anakim in this method. Because we are getting to the point now where burning him down is not an option. Well, I'll tell you exactly what you do. You do what I do. Whilst you are doing the video, Norb, you listen to me drone on in the background. Then everybody's happy. I can throw in the occasional editing tip. You know, speak to you directly. Oh, I wouldn't cut that, Norb. You know, I can just throw little bits and pieces in there for you just to just to mess your work up. Who is that? I've forgotten already. Hello, Deborah. So, what we're going to do... So, the reason why I've gone for Tempest, and I think I explained this last time, and again, I'm actually not playing this from somebody who doesn't play the game as much as me, or has got... I mean, I've got a reasonably good aim. I'm not that good at distance. Again, a lot of what I'm doing is guesstimation and judgment, and I do get it wrong, even on a massive target like that. So, what I want to do is I want to make sure that I get a hit on Anakim. The reason being is the first hit on Anakim, well, not the first hit as we now know, but the first element of damage to a certain point in these lower cycles is what spawns the archers. Do I want to run the risk of missing my initial Winter's Bite shot? No, because I might get a garbage arrow next. So what I like to do is I like to use Tempest or Divine Sight to get this first hit, to basically guarantee that I get it. And it then allows me to stand here, right at the back, to force the monks to spawn in those alcoves, and if we can, we'll go for the headshot, of course. And then we've got some nice arrows to work with here. You're going to fall down, so are you. And again, very similar to our Orph Annihilation techniques here, in that we're going for straight up headshots. And close ones at that. Now what we want to do, ideally, is we're going to use a little bit of Silver Lining to lure him into a corner. I'm using slow time as well, and I'm going to move, and I'm still holding the movement stick as I do that, and move to here. Now, I won't go too much into the details of this because I've covered this whole Silver Lining thing quite a bit. But check out the videos for that if you want to know more about it. Now, what I like to do at this stage is I would sit here with the ability to go back to there. And the reason being is I find this a fantastic... Let's not miss these shots, though. I find this a fantastic area to burn Anakim down from. Thought that didn't hit, then. We've already done him a decent amount of damage. And this... What I would do now is I would... Are you gone? You're gone. We would wait here. See if we can get this next spawn. I'm listening for it before I turn. Because we want to try and control the spawns as much as anything else. That's too much damage. There we are. And we want to be away. And remember, if we're not looking at them, a lot of the time they will then make a point of teleporting into our field of view. As he just did there. So let's see if we can get these guys dealt with. Retreat a little. We can just fire that off because otherwise it's going to kind of get in our way. Do the same with those. Let Anakim go wandering off. And I'm kind of up here at the moment, just... Yeah, so he's just to make sure I know exactly where he's going. So for my next trick, I want to get him to go back into the same corner. We do that by doing this. We'll stuff ourselves into this corner. Oh, he's going off, isn't he? Of course he is. He's still tracking me from where I was. A lot of this is, as I say, is down to me. I think a lot of it is down to something that I didn't mention within the videos, is holding movement down as you teleport. But it's alright. Again, I'm just demonstrating a concept here. So I'm kind of trying to stretch it out a little bit just so I'm giving a good example. So we want him coming to us, and because he's coming at that angle, we'll escape this way. Get into this corner. Okay. As I said, it's not a 100%. It's a 60% of the time, every time technique. So let's get back into that corner. You can do it on the other pillar. I like the pillar that I do it on. Let's... Oh, horizontal playthrough when... I think that's part and parcel of where people might be going wrong, because it's something I've identified that I do. And I didn't realise it, because remember, a lot of these techniques, when we were figuring them out, were experimental at the time. So what we're doing here is we're going to burn him down from here. Hello, Blue. We're going to burn him down from here. Now, again, remember, status effect arrow. Winter's Bite is doing tick damage. We don't want to hit him with another status effect arrow. If we can, we want to wait for the damage to finish before we do that. Now, I'm not going to look at those guys. And the reason being is because they should teleport into my line of sight. We're probably a little bit far forward here. And by teleporting into our line of sight, they're then going to start getting affected by all of this nasty shit that we're firing out. Oh, that's a miss. And so by doing that, now I'm doing that very slowly, using a lot of slow time. Normally, I would be rattling shots. Oh, he's had a bit of a bad in there, hasn't he? Lovely. I will try. I will bear that in mind. But basically, it's a case of if I am not holding an arrow drawn, I am holding the slow time button. As a general rule. Cheers, Blue. So, again, this will become more of a prevalent tactic the further you go. Anakim should be the only thing that will give us trouble. Gabriel, as we know, that is easy to manipulate. Anakim is going to be the stopping point. Now, the other thing is we could do a lot more hello, K2. We could do a lot more elaborate way of taking him down and completely match what we would normally do within snow globing Anakim, which is the freezing technique and making use of using Winter's Bite and Hand of God. The problem is a big part of that technique is not alerting the knights, and I think we've all seen the video of what's his name? LG. God, he'll hate me for that. We've all seen the video of Atlas doing the technique and then praying to not get an Azure's Fury, because the Azure's Fury, when it hits, lightnings those knights that are quite happy to idle away at the top. and that'll bring them down on our heads, and we don't want that. So my technique, the reason why I sit on this pillar is because we then basically have always recenter before you come to Anakim as well. Before you do that, it's one of the things that stops you tucking in quite as quick. Part of the reason why I do this is by being here, what would happen to any melee enemies that are coming at us in front of us? They will end up cornering themselves. They will become cornered because of this pillar. As long as we are tucked in and we are here, they will have to come round in front of us, turn and attack. So that gives us time to deal with the melee troops. Occasionally you'll get ones that will come behind. Again, abuse slow time, deal with them. And then it's about putting Anakim in this pocket that's kind of medium distance. It's probably a little bit further than we want, but it's the best that we can hope for. And then ideally you want to get a hand of God and you want to hold him there. And once you have dealt with the monks here, and in later stages, you want to get the other ones in these alcoves as well. Once you've dealt with the first two waves in this corner and got rid of those monks, that's when you want to get Anakim down this lane and then just hammer him with everything you've got with vast amounts of slow time. Now, the problem with doing this technique is we can't burn him down quick enough. Monks will come. The thing is, if you don't look behind you when they spawn, they will not fire at you. They possibly will teleport into your line of sight, but as we know, if we cut off our line of sight, well then where can they teleport to? Basically there. And that is, again, right in the pocket of all that nasty loveliness that we're going to be throwing Anakim's way. So you can then start dealing with everything that's coming here. It's basically what we're doing is we're putting everything in the same place. And because we've got lots and lots of nasty effects going up and going out, they all build up. And again, there's probably a more graceful way to do Anakim in Fletcher, but, well, this isn't called the Grace and the Graceless stream, is it? This is called the Fast and the Furious stream. So we'll do it fast and we'll do it furiously. There's nothing wrong with, you know, leading him around the houses and slowly chopping him down. The only problem that I find... Yes, wouldn't it just? Wouldn't it just? So, what we're going to do here... So, this is, again, Tactics 101. Well, I think... sorry, 2 seconds. Let me just get to the next bit and I'll go over that. Forgot to mention it. Uh-oh. There we go. So, just before I answer that, as I said, I don't know if it's the thing, but I think it's part and parcel of why I seem to get it a lot more successfully than some others. It's one of the things that I've just noticed that I do a lot. Where are you? I can hear you creaking the bow. You down below. Remember, whilst you are waiting for your teleport arrows, slow time and shield. Or slow time and shield. You can't do both at the same time with the old bow, unfortunately. But you can raise your shield whilst you're waiting for those long teleport shots to land, and you can also fire as well, but we want to keep divine sight. I'll explain why in a minute. So as for why I think it's important to still be hold and move, the reason why I think it's important is, as I said, I think I get this lining thing off on Anakim more often than I don't, and it's the one thing that I've identified that I haven't said anything about. I've never mentioned that you should hold the movement stick. Again, maybe it's a placebo, or maybe it's because I'm constantly holding the motion stick, I'm tucking in a lot tighter. The reason why I say it now is because some people have said they can't get it to work. Now, I can't see what they're doing, and I'm not going to get a play-by-play video of them not being able to get it right, so I can only go off of what I can think of. That arrow is not meant for him. So yeah, that's the reason why I would advise it. I mean, you don't have to do it, but if you are finding that your lining with Anakim is working fine, then ignore what I say about the movement stick side of things and just crack on with it. If you're having trouble with it, it's something potentially to try. Now, let's get over there. Now we are looking for our orphan. We have our arrow handpicked for the situation. Haven't heard her yet, so I reckon she's over here. She might be low. I would imagine she is high. Come on, land, land, land. You'll also... Oh, that was a good shot. You'll also note how I slowly duck whilst I'm doing these things, and you'll also see that I'm using liberal use of my slow time as well. Now, this isn't a great scenario for us. Oh, I knew you were going to come back and hit that. So we are going to have to carve ourselves out a little bit of space here, because we haven't got a... We haven't got the orphan yet. So, but this is the one problem with this tactic. And as again, I would say, if you are, because I think we covered this last time, if you are not confident in your abilities to fight the enemies, you don't want to be. You don't want to be doing this. But if you're not confident in your ability to do this within Fletcher, and you just end up losing loads of life, which I could quite easily as well, then skip. I would be happy for you to skip trying to get the orphan on Paradise Lost, because this is the one that you will lose all the life on. Guaranteed. The reason why we're doing this is thanks to our good old rule of 17, in that the orphan has not spawned yet, and we can't hear her, which means that she could be in any of her locations, but by killing a few enemies has now given her the ability to spawn. And we are going to take full advantage of the fact that she wants to stand there. I would have liked to have had a better arrow, but this is probably one of the best places that she can be, because if we don't get too close to her, she is usually quite happy to stay up here. Another thing to note, because this will come up with Fletcher, if the orphan is under a status effect, she cannot teleport away. Well, that's good. Oh, you little shit. I don't think that counted. Find out in a minute. Sorry, Sean, I'll have a look at that in a sec. It sounded like a lot of laughing. This is a nice little room to hide in whilst you are making your moves across the level. There's nearly always a Cupid in here, and I think you can make that shot. No, not today. This is what we don't want. Ugh. Yeah, I am used to higher cycle play. That is a valid tactic, Al. I'm used to higher cycle play. Yes, this game is on Quest and Pico. I'm used to higher cycle... Oh, you little bastard. I'm used to higher cycle play, so I always make a point of getting very, very far away from Banshees as soon as they cast, because they can absolutely end you. Except, yeah, how many? Yeah, I know, right? Alright, come on, Tracking. We can do it. And yeah, hello, Robert. Strong name, that. Well done, Mr. Keane. So, Gabriel, nice easy take for us in comparison to any other thing. The only thing that will lose you life here is a lack of patience or me trying to be too fast. It will do it. So again, opener like we normally would. Heavy abuse of slow time. We could bounce across his 3 spawn points to find out exactly where he's going to land, but we're not going to try and dump a lot of damage onto him when he lands up close. There's no real point. You can just as easily look up and we can see exactly where he is, and that shaft of light as well. Here he comes. I am using, I'm using what lighting? Oh yeah, no, I have got IR lighting. It is better. It is better than it has been recently. My tracking has been absolute garbage recently, so it's obviously being a lot better than usual. So, for those of you who don't know how to do Gabe, the closer you are to him, the further he will pull back. The further away you are from him, the closer he will come towards you. He always tries to sit at a very specific range. And he does this so that he is at the correct distance for his attacks to land. Now, Winter's Bite, yes. Barrage of Needles will do. Curse of God, you hold off on anything else that will put a status effect on him, because that Winter's Bite is going to take probably about 1/6 of his health bar. So we'll let him do his thing whilst our Winter's Bite is ticking. Now that the tick has ended, now we put another status effect onto him. This one's obviously nowhere near as good as Winter's Bite. The other thing that I've started using a lot more recently, as most of you will know, is if you are hugging a pillar, as you should be because you can't be hit, keep this pillar as obstructing as much view as possible, and it will force Gabe to come into your line of sight, and that's exactly where we want him. Always put your shield up here as well, but put it out very far in front of you. Oh, nice one, dude. Thank you. No, that's cool, dude. No worries. Sorry, I'll get this guy finished up and then I'll have a look. I think I heard some of it. I think it was to do with Winter's Bite. At this point now, all we can do is move forward and backward and wait until he does his dive, because I am not risking trying to hit this guy with a King Incursion, not with the arc. Yes, don't go for headshots like I just did. Just go for body shots. That's all you need to do. Be very careful of holy light. Be very careful of your explosive arrows. They can push him all over the show, which will cause you in turn to miss more shots. Wait for him to dive in. Step out. Fire the good stuff. Curse of God, yeah, we'll take that. Cataclysm, and another. If you can get a couple off quickly, happy days. But once they're in and flashing, that's what happens a lot of the time. And that will quite easily push him. You could even miss with that. And that's got quite a wide spread if he was to do that. Oh, sorry, dude. Made you look like an idiot. Right, let me just have a look at that. Yeah, no worries, Echoing. Cheers, dude. Thanks for joining. Yeah, cool, nice one. I'm happy for you to share with GT. I'll show him everything he needs to know. During normal game, would you pick Winter's Bite 3 or a single Winter's Bite? I'd always take a single Winter's Bite over a Winter's Bite times 3. The reason being is Winter's Bite times 3, I am not going to construct shots where I make use of the other 2 arrows, so they are useless. If I'm after an arrow for multiples, sticking it in the head for damage, then again, Winter's Bite times 3 is not the arrow, because it doesn't even do that much damage, and it's not like it freezes them for any longer or anything along those lines. The only use, and also Winter's Bite times 3 does not have as much ammunition in the quiver. The only time that I would take Winter's Bite times 3 is one of 2 scenarios. There is a Winter's Bite and a Winter's Bite times 3 to pick up, allowing me to take a Winter's Bite times 3, replace one of my normal Winter's Bite that may be out of ammunition with a Winter's Bite times 3, with the intent of replacing it later with the Winter's Bite that is still on the map, the times 1, or in an emergency, if I was going into somebody like Anakim and was shy on Winter's Bites, then I would take the Winter's Bite times 3. So it is basically the Winter's Bite times 3. The long and the short of it, Al, is a Winter's Bite times 3 for me personally is a poor man's Winter's Bite for its uses and the tactics that you can pull with it. Now, that was a bit of a waste, because Wildfire times 5 would have been quite a nice arrow. I think we're going to be coming up against the pit before anything else. Hand of God could do the job, but say it won't. No. Volley times 3, we could possibly get away with that, but I've got a good thing going here. I've got an easy target. Oh, I could use his shield as well, actually. Oh, no, he hasn't got a shield. Okay. Well, he is still at our mercy. Cat 3's not too bad. So, what I'm doing here is I am cycling my arrows to get the... Hello, Weebs. I'm cycling my arrows to get the perfect arrow to take the orphan down. Now, one of the things I didn't do a lot of was discussing the whys of what the perfect arrow is. This one is probably... Cat 5 is good, but probably the worst of the best arrows, if that makes sense. The reason being is it does do a lot of damage, but the vast majority of its damage comes in on the form of the explosion afterwards. There has been plenty of times where I've put all 5 of these into an orphan's head, run away thinking that explosion will get the orphan, no worries, and she either despawns, in which case the explosion damage doesn't go on to her, or, and this happens more often than not, the explosions take her down to a gnat's whisker of life, and you've run away, and then she runs off and starts doing her teleport away, and it can just be an absolute pain in the arse. The best arrow for an orphan execution, in my opinion, is still Volley 5, just because of raw damage output. And again, note how I was slow timing and slowly ducking, because I knew nasty arrow stuff was on the way. Now, what we're doing here is I am backing myself up into a nice corner, because we want to check to see if the pit is down here. Yeah, no, that's alright, Weebs. You're here, that's all that matters. So, the reason why I go for this location is just because it's nice and tight. Effects that go down are going to sort people like that out. You're going to be... Anything that happens in this enclosure is going to be putting damage out or having area of effects whilst things are coming in to get you. Again, though, be careful with those times 3, with those explosive arrows, because those explosive arrows will cause a lot of bounce. Now, is the pit there? No, we don't need to be here. We are gone. That was literally the only reason why we went up there, to check if the pit was there. It was not. We don't need to be there anymore. We also need to go and have a quick check over here and make sure the orphan isn't in that bottom hand corner. We might have to get quite close for her to spawn in. She is not. She's not there. She can't be in there because she never spawns in there. The last place that she could be is down here. Now, with that in mind, I haven't got a particularly great arrow. So let's cycle one on him. Actually, that's probably the worst of the best arrows, because you can use this for an orphan execution, because it's what makes... Okay, so it's probably easier to go with what makes a good arrow. What is good for executing an orphan? You want something that is tipped, first and foremost. Now, what do I mean by tipped? It has an arrowhead on the end of it. So, for instance, arrows like Tempest technically do not have a tip on them. When you headshot an enemy, the Tempest itself doesn't actually, or the tip of the Tempest arrow doesn't stick into the enemy. It's the effect that kills them. There are other arrows that do that. I'm drawing a blank as to what the other one is, but there definitely is one. Cupid's wraths do not have tips. They explode before they hit. Now, why is the tip side of things important? If the arrow doesn't have a tip, then if you are very close, all of the arrows will not embed themselves in the head. And it's all of the arrows. And the other important factor of this, the arrow that you select, is it is a ×3 or a ×5 variant, because obviously they'll be putting more damage across than ×3 and ×5 variants. So this isn't a bad arrow, but it's about them having a tip that sticks in. That tip sticking in is what causes all the arrows to go in. For instance, if you did a Cupid ×3, yes, you get the explosion, but you wouldn't get any damage from the arrow. No worries, dude. See you later. Now, the pit should be over there. I can just about make out the edge of it, which it means I think the orphan is down here. Nice little duck as we're moving. Yeah, no worries, Jules. Thank you for joining. So I think the orphan is in there. So this is one of the reasons why I think this is a fantastic way to play this. It is a great way to learn the location, as I've said before, of all the orphans. Like, I can go through a level and go, well, they can spawn there, and there. And my knowledge has got better, mainly through tournaments, but this is another cracking way to build up that knowledge. Yeah. No, it doesn't, but good try, Amy. No, you're quite right. Unholy Wind, even in its ×55,000 variant, would be a garbage arrow for an orphan execution. Right, so we know where our pit is, which means that we don't need to worry about that. So you just fire an arrow at me. Cheeky bugger. So we know where I thought we did. We know where our pit is. Now we just want to get our orphan, and then we want to retreat to safety to de-aggro everything. Fire either despawn or just getting away from it. We're going to have to teleport down there. I think she'll be here. Hello! It's like I knew. We're happy to fire that into the ground. Little pull. And one more. Yeah, there we go. I found that's actually quite useful with Cupid's Wrath ×1. They are a good one. Yeah, no worries, K2. Thanks for popping by. The Cupid's Wrath is a really good one, because if you fire it down into the floor at the foot of an orphan, as you'll see there, it bounces them up, it stops her moving, and it also gives you time to prepare your next arrow. The one thing that you don't want to be doing with an orphan in that situation, especially when using a lot of slow time, pit, idiot. I was just going to go straight fight Asmo. But we did want to do that to basically make sure we de-aggro everything that's behind us, because we've despawned it all now, so it'll just go back to its, you know, we're just wandering around admiring the architecture game mode. With the orphan, there is a timing to it where you'll see that I did it, is that as the orphan was rising because of the original explosion, I hit her with a tempest, and then I had a cat 3. And I waited for her to land before I fired the next shot. If I'd have just gone, hit, slow time, hit, slow time, hit, slow time, there is a possibility that one of those could have passed through her head. There's a possibility that one of those could have passed through her entirely, which I don't think it's an intended part of the game, obviously. Well, hello to you. I tell you what, Ray was saying about this. Hello, Kicking. Ray was saying about this that he's starting to see, and I don't know if any of you lot can report this, because skeletons should not come on this roof, not with the rules set that I had previously. There were specific, and you could identify them by the fact that they had guttering around the top of them. There were specific routes that skeletons can go on. I haven't seen that one before, and do you know what this is? They can't. But do you know what this is? That I think anything can teleport up onto these roofs. So, like, technically that Banshee, I mean, Banshees seem to be a little bit more promiscuous on the old teleporting. It's because they're female and gothic, I'd imagine, and something to do with that. But not at all. It's a computer game. So what I think may have happened, and again, something that I've been discussing with Sean, is the tendency with Super Bright and their updates is they update one thing, which then has some sort of cascade effect, and it's the whole thing of, like, you know, updating one thing, breaking something else. Now, it's not broken, but I could imagine that little things have crept in. Like, for instance, maybe it was never intended, but was able to happen for skeletons to teleport onto the roofs. Why would I say it was never intended? Because they won't be able to path very well up here, or worse, if they did, it would look shit, basically. So I think that's part of the reason why they don't allow... What's that? Oh, that's you down there, isn't it? I think that's part of the reason why they don't allow skeletons to normally teleport on top of rooftops, because it would look shit. Hello, Kyle. Yeah, Headmaster is less than the original in death. I never played it, so you could be quite right. Or I never played it extensively enough to be able to. Like, for instance, with archers, it doesn't matter if they were to teleport on roofs. This is... well, not expected behaviour, but that's something that, you know, you could be prepared for. Same kinda with Banshees, because they float. But if anyone's seen skeletons go up on rooftops in the earlier days, they just look jank when they're running around up here, because their animation is for running around on a flat surface, not on a slope. So if they do run around, it looks crap. And that's if they can path to you. So I think... they were able to teleport up to roofs originally, and then either Super Bright or In Death went back on that and was like, no, they shouldn't be able to do that. Oh, actually, no. Skeleton Warriors would have been borrowed from the pits, which then would have been put into Abyss, which is Super Bright's creation. So they would have been using the enemies and their behaviours in a level that was not tested for them, and I would imagine they will have made it so that skeletons cannot teleport up onto roofs, so that you don't see the janky animations. And then what I would imagine has happened here is, with the update, that bit of code has somehow not working anymore, or works less well. So, just my thoughts. But it seems plausible from what little I know of programming. Ugh. So, again, what we're going to try and do here is going to take out the threats. Steady. We're going to try and keep our opponents reasonably close. Those cupids are a pain in the ass. Let's go over here. I'm going to be here. Hopefully those cupids come in to get us. Wait here a second. Oh, yeah, headset limitation. I don't think so. I think it's programming. I really do. They always do it when I'm taking a drag on my... drag on the old water, or... good old divine sight. Yeah, drag on the water or drag on the e-cigaretten. Right, let's get a bit of a step back here because we've possibly got a ghost coming in, I think. Hello. Good headshot. Don't make shots like that. There's literally no reason to. Oh, hello. Back into cover, thank you very much. We do need to now deal with him as well. And we will do that in that kind of manner. You're stuck. Good news for us. Bad news for you. Deal with the ghost. And then that's all she wrote. Yes, there's a lot of enemies down the bottom. But we don't want them. We don't want anything to do with them. And the reason being is because we can sneak in right here. Is he coming towards us? Yes, he is. So we'll get him dealt with first. One of the things that you can do if you're not comfortable with hitting that edge or hitting it from behind, what I would advise is check your play space. Hello, Rena. Step off of the roof. Yeah, I know it's a bit cheaty, but we're trying to get in there without having to deal with anything. This is more for you than it is for me. I can make that shot easily enough. You might miss it and hit the black down there and get teleported. So, if you are not confident in making that shot, move yourself in your physical play space a little bit. Make the shot easy. Easy peasy. So, on. So we can hear the orphan. We want to be aware of that. We want to clear our immediate first, but we want to be half thinking. Curse of God is a great arrow to have there. Hopefully that spreads that way, which it is. Goody gun drops. Long shots like this, avoid. I know I just did it, but don't do what Doddy Don't does, alright? Wait for them to teleport in. It's so much easier, and it stops that happening. Oh, why did he go down there? But we're very good on health, so I can afford to be very lackadaisy, if I'm honest. So, Holy Light is not the arrow that we want. Again, though, we want to be considering... when we start getting to this point here, start thinking about what arrow we do want to kill the orphan. Volley would be nice, but that's not going to happen. Cupid's Wrath ×3 isn't bad, but as I said, it's not tipped. Although what I find myself doing with Cupid's Wrath ×3 is knocking it into the ground to lift her up. But I'm going to get rid of that in just a second. Now, she is just round this corner. Curse of God, that's a good question, actually. Technically, yes, it would, because I believe it is when she is close enough to an arrow or is inflicted damage upon. So I would have said yes. There's no way that she would just sit there and tank damage. I'm pretty sure her taking damage is part and parcel of her move condition. So, what we're going to do here, again, not a great arrow, but the only other option that we've got here is planting this in the ground to get something better. However, using Cupid's Wrath ×3, we can do this. That was further than I wanted. But that's not too bad. Oh, that's a little bit bad. She is now technically jammed there, so she ain't going nowhere. Ow. That'll do. Oh, where did all those arrows? Was that you? Hit him. Oh, no, it's the lava, wasn't it? So, let's tidy up here. I don't think I was on lava. Cheating game. Taking my life. So let the curse of God do its work. It should. We are only cycle 3. This should be enough to KO all the enemies in here. Let them do that. We're not concerned about getting the kills in any sort of speed or even the gold for them. The only reason why we are killing enemies in here is so that we can escape. That's literally it. Now, this choke point is great for some of your bigger arrows. Just remember that they are down and will explode, basically. Hey, where'd the incursion go? They've fallen through the floor. Or does this wizard put it in his pocket? Probably. Right. So again, we will visually lure things in. The moment you start wanging arrows at reasonable distances is when you take damage. Unless, of course, they are the homing variety. I will allow those. So that's our immediate cleared. Divine Sight times 3 is a fantastic one for this point because we should just be able to do that and take some enemies out and alert some, bring some more in for us. That should do a little bit of a number on things as well. And again, getting yourself swarmed in these scenarios can be good and bad. It can be good in respect to the fact that all of those wicked effects that you've just ploughed into a load of enemies here smash the group. But it can also be... hopefully we get some more with that. It can also be bad in respect to the fact that those effects can go off and kill enemies and do various other things, and that we don't want. Because it will move enemies, and that when enemies are on the move, moving or being moved by effects, again, is what misses you your shots. Yeah, they do seem to be. Oh no, Curse of God does give gold. It's just literally all I'm talking about there. Let's kill you first before you come with a problem. All I'm talking about there, Al, is we're not concerned so much. I'm going to save that for when he teleports in. That's what I want. Yeah, of course you boys aren't going to allow that though. Never mind. Oh, shrapnel blast. Woo! That's one hell of an arrow. Yeah, so Curse of God, the gold will still work, and he'll kill enemies in reasonably quick succession whilst we're doing other things, which is, you know, is a good thing for our executioner bonus. But we're not even really here for executioner bonus here. Either we are here for... we just want to get out of here, and we want to do so in a safer manner as possible. So don't jump in the lava, boys and girls, like I just did. But yeah, we're not worried about playing this fast and furiously on normal enemies. We are literally in, kill the orphan, out. The only reason why I am killing stuff here, and I'm not bothered about the scoring that I get from it, is to activate that incubi, which then means that we can kill him, which then means we can get the hell out of here. Right, incubi. I am now going to use my electronic cigarette, because I know exactly what you're going to do when I start saying doing those things. Incubi, I am now going to have a drink of water if that's alright with you. The reason why I'm doing this is I want to, you probably want to pull back a little bit, is I want him to teleport in nice and close. And if I give him the area, he should. They always will teleport to you if you give them enough time. But I bear in mind that I am streaming, and, you know, looking at an archway and a bit of lava is quite boring. So if he doesn't come in soon, I will sort him out. Which it doesn't look like he's going to do. Just read what that was. Give him time to come in. Yeah, if you can hit a chunky headshot, if you can hit a chunky shot with shrapnel blast and get it to go into the head of the enemy behind, it does make a very cool noise. So loud is that noise, in fact, that you can actually stop the background music. I've done that a few times in Paradise Lost whilst I was experimenting with the scoring of it. It's, yeah, quite funny. It's so loud a sound effect, it stops it overwrites the music. It's brilliant. So, of course, Incubi isn't going to play ball, so we don't want to just go into the middle of that room and start fighting him. We're going to have to deal with the things around the outskirts, otherwise we're going to come a cropper. So let's do that first. Yes, I've got Cupid's Wrath times 3, but it's not a great arrow for doing huge amounts of damage. Oh, you little shit. That was very fast of you, wasn't it? Right, let's get you done. So that's that side done. And what I would normally do now, once I've done one side's worth, is I would retreat back to where I want the Incubi to teleport to. Again, I don't need to do this. It just makes him a much easier kill, because he can teleport here. I mean, it also does stuff like that. Hold still, you little shit. He's not playing ball today, though, is he? I wish you would. I've been telling these great people in the chat that you'll play ball eventually, and he's just not. So we're going to have to go and kill the other ones. So I would now do the other side. And now I would retreat back. Oh, what's that? Cataclysms. Oh, sorry, I thought you were talking about Shrapnel Blast earlier. Oh, right, okay, yeah, I get you. Right, coming in, Incubi? Definitely did it last time for us. Not today, though. Okay, so we've got rid of the threats. The reason why we've done that is so that we can make use of this area to close the distance in him. So... Oh, now you teleport. So... Do try, this is one of the exceptions where I would say if you get a singular arrow, it's worth aiming for the head, just to get that stagger. It's an extra few points, and his head is very huge, which makes it a reasonably easy target. And then again, once we've got it, grab these, out, done. I don't even care about the abominations. Again, you could call that lazy, but I do genuinely find that it's pissing around doing those itsy bitsy kills that are worth, in the grand scheme of things, nothing, that will take life off of you. And every time you do that and you're not topping your health back up to full, it's just making things worse and worse and worse for you, until you get to the point where going through your next cycle, even if you take a hit, you are not going to be able to get back to full life, and that's the downward spiral. To be fair, that was last season, though this season there's more health going, but obviously we're going to be taking damage sooner as well, which we're going to be taking a lot more damage. Now again, if you are taking damage from enemies, you shouldn't be taking damage from enemies. If you are worried about taking too much damage from enemies, well, you shouldn't be, because then that means that you are at later cycles, and if you are able to get to later cycles, then I would have said you don't need to worry about getting hit by enemies. You know what you're doing at that point. So let's go get Asmo out of the way, give some top tips for him, and then I think the next sticking point potentially for some of you could be Anakin 4, so I will try and do him as best as I can. Again, the Anakin tactics are not hard and fast. I just have some tricks for doing him, like I have for most of the bosses. Anakin is still probably the hardest part, second only to the pits doing this. Right. Now, we want Cataclysm times 3 or times 5, ideally. We do not want Divine Sight or Cupids. They go into the ground. The reason why they go into the ground is because if you fire them at Asmo at the wrong time, they can pop blisters, swing back and hit skulls as they are getting too close to you and do you damage. We don't like that. Again now, copious amounts of slow time between each shot. We are waiting for something good. Putting one of those out there isn't too bad, but I could do with more. We'll put another one of those out. That can go down there. This is actually, I found out recently in the last stream, a really good arrow, because it just does the job for us. Turn around, small teleport bounds away. And then finish that one up. The lightning bolt should do the job for us. Now, because there's just 3 small bounds, because we're going to be heading that way. We've got Curse of God. That's not a bad arrow for this bit. But yeah, small bounds when it's just the 1 or 2 skulls chasing you. And you can have that. Can I interest you in a spiky ball? I'm sure I can. Where are you going? Cheating. That platform was not there. Again, as I said, I like to try and take one of them out, and then I will sit on this corner and wait for these guys to come in. That curse is very good. That should help us out with the incubi, which the cupids, which are the threat here. And then we wait for him. Oh, that's a bad miss. It will count. That will keep traveling until it hits something and then go off. That should kill that little lot there. And then we've got a curse doing the job for us, so we'll just let it work. It's now I think, if I'm right, that incubi's just teleported into the lava over there, which was very good of him. Thank you very much. No, I do not know how to make him or I know there is a spot down there that you can stand on to make him do that. Again, that is happening not more often, but happening by itself on occasion. Again, potentially a slipping code from when updates have been done. We don't know. Oh, nice one, Blue Bottles. Cheers, dude. Sorry, I couldn't hear you over the big boy here. So, again, cycle arrows. We want homing arrows, ideally. Not that one, not a ×1 variant, that's not enough. Ball of lightnings, aim them high. That's what we want. And the reason being is because a lot of the time, these will hit the skulls and then loop back to hit the dorsal flanges. That's one hit. We'll pop another one on him and another one. Those are the shots that you will quite easily miss. I know I do, especially when you think you can get the last one in and he turns and you miss it. So again, cycle, cycle, cycle. Concentrate on dodges if you're not as au fait with dodging. Again, with this, that's all you need to do, and it will get you out of the way of every boulder. We've got lucky and cycled to Divine Sight ×5. I think it's shooting from further back. Yeah, shooting from further back groups them. Yes. Yes, I am, but I like to get him into a position where his back is arched, because it's easier to get multiple Divine Sight ×5s and 3s or cupids over his back to do both dorsal flanges. But no, you are quite right. As soon as he starts casting, you are able to start doing over his flanges. Let's get rid of a big chunk of the incubi's health. That seems like a good idea. You can have that. You can have that. Let's pop that into you. You can die. You're done. And I'd like to have saved that for something else. That's not too bad, though. Again, ideally we want to finish this area without leaving too many effects down. Like, I want to not let the abominations come down towards me here, because I don't want them dying to that ball lightning. But But I also need to kill the archer. That's worked out quite nicely. He's done. And now we get away from here so that it hopefully gives that lightning ball time to despawn, or at the very least doesn't kill any of these guys. Now it's despawned, we'll go back over, bring them over this way. And again, for those of you not in the know, do not kill... Come on, track in. Do not kill the abominations. Just kill the archer. That way, you don't have to deal with any further waves of archers at this point. I mean, we're going to have to kill him because he's in our way. And at this point now, we are waiting for something like a... I mean, that'll do. One of those up there will probably finish him. That should. Nope. But if we leave that lightning effect going, that should finish him off. So ideally, again, we can cycle arrows on him here if you wanted to try and cycle the perfect arrow for the next stage, because this will carry. He will still he will still count as hits at this stage. Ideally, you want a cat 3 or a cat 5 for those horns. You fire one horizontally at his forehead, lining the middle arrow with the kind of like the middle of his brow, and a 3 or a 5 will then explode across his brow and destroy both horns in one shot. Yum. Yum. Not very efficient. Can we take it with us in our backpack? No. Boo. Cycle 4, let's go. Now, we did just do the Pit of Despair. So I'm hoping, because if we now continued our run, I'm hoping this still works. Again, they might have changed it. I don't know. I'm hoping that if this might still work. I haven't obviously tried it since. Because we got Despair, I'm planning ahead. I'm planning my run very far ahead. Because we got Despair, if I continue in this run without resting at Sanctuary, I can guarantee you that the next pit that we will get will be Agony. We want Despair because it's just so much easier to nail the Orphan on and so less risky. One of the ways that we can do that, or at least have a chance of getting Despair in Agony again in this cycle, is by either resting in Sanctuary or saving and quitting at any point before Abyss, I think. I always save as soon as I leave so that I remember I do it. So again, if you can get to Purgatory 4 doing what I am doing, just killing the orphans, just going in the pits, escaping as soon as possible, just dealing with the bosses and rinsing and repeating, and you can do that for 4 cycles, congratulations, you will have your name on the top slot, on the top board. Isn't that pretty? But we don't want that. We want a little higher than that. One of the things I couldn't tell you is who's still alive and who is dead as far as that leaderboard's concerned. Two words for you, Al. Wrath of God. But wait, Silver. Oh, hello, Indy. You're not even on the leaderboard. What are you talking about? Wrath of God would be the easiest way. You want to be firing high. You want to be arcing your shots past as much as possible. You want that slow traveling arc. If you are using the crossbow, in fact, actually, Wrath of God was the best. I'd go as far as to say now it's probably Cupid's Wrath times 3, because you can kill so much so fast with that. That I think, I'd say Cupid's times 3. It's not that pits are not a threat to me. The pits and Anakim are the threats to me. You're number one on the Pico version. Oh, don't make me get a Pico, Indy. Jeez. Number one. Well. Come play on the... I mean, you could go and play on the Pico, but the leaderboards over there are kind of for the boys amongst us. You want to come play with the men? Oh, well. I can show you a thing or two. They're on the quest leaderboards, let me tell you. For now, anyway. So did you actually splurge on in death, or did you get a key, or is it on discount, or shouldn't I ask, or are you just messing about? You're messing about. I know what you're like. So again, we are on the lookout for the pit. This is another... Oh, he says... Didn't check, did I? Idiot. This is another thing that you should be doing. Always check each area before you move on, because you don't want to have to do what I'm doing, because there's one more location that the pit can spawn. Again, this is another great way to build your knowledge of this game. Now, we don't have to go in there. We don't have to alert anything. Stand in here. We can have a listen. Anybody hear any ghosties? I don't. The pit is not there. The only other place that it can be is there. Indy would probably... Actually, good timing, Indy. That's a fantastic question for him. The one thing that I can add to all of this is the Pico 4 version of IDU. In my opinion, for the brief amount of time that I got to play it, is not as good as the Quest 2 version. However, everything else that I've played on the Quest 2 is a better looking version. So, unfortunately, Superbright have not showered themselves in glory with the port of this game. As in, they haven't optimized it very well. No, I would genuinely say, and I think Indy will agree, that the Pico is probably superior in both. Right. Let's get these guys tidied up. Barrows and needles. We'll take that for ghosts all day. Damn. Says that. I know, right? Has about 5. Oh, got me. Let's try and make sure we get this one though. But again, we're doing really well on life, so this doesn't matter. Let's just wait for them to teleport in, close that angle down, let them get in nice and close. Done. Probably don't need to worry about that one. Was that Cole? It was Cole. Hello, Cole. Put me off. Got me killed by a ghost then. I was like, Cole, in my chat, what's going on here? Hello, dude. How we doing? And no, multiple arrows to the face is never overkill. Never, ever. So, hard part. Or hardest part. And as long as we come out of here with no more than a life or 2 lost, we're doing all good. Spooked. So, first thing we want to do. Now, at this point, I would stop. No worries, Norb. Thanks for joining us. At this point now, I would stop running through the pits. It's gonna start to get from cycle 4, 5 definitely. 4 maybe not so much. 5 definitely. It will start getting dangerous. So what we are going to do is we are going to play pits in the regular way, which is we take what we can, where we can. So we are going to clear our safe space out. Where did he go? Clear our safe space out. Oh, that was the worst miss going. Although, totally intentional, because there's loads of guys around the back there. Let's say it was. Oh, it's not even a real pit. Look at this. Excellent. Lovely. So we're getting our safe space cleared here whilst keeping an eye out for the orphan. It will be at this stage that when we start here in the orphan is when we want to start thinking. We want to start thinking about what arrow we're going to use to assassinate the orphan. So again, that is always something that's at the back of our mind, because we do not want to miss the orphan when we're coming down here, because it is a big part of our points is that. Let's get rid of that on you. That was a bit risky, but style of the times, isn't it? Right, let's get you whilst the going's good. Again, if you can get close and you are comfortable with getting headshots on these, it is a source of extra points. But don't... I thought I heard one behind me. Don't risk... Well, that's not good. Do not risk the miss for the headshot if you are not comfortable, especially if you've got a moody arrow like Holy Light or Incursion, one of these ones with the stupid arcs. And yeah, I mean, as far as Indy's concerned, and I would definitely respect his opinion on PCVR, is he's saying that PK4 is better for PCVR. Now, the other side of the coin, if you were doing PCVR, one of the things that you cannot do on PCVR is play In Death Unchained, so you'd have to play that standalone. As far as I am concerned, the PK4 version of In Death Unchained, which is, even with PCVR, I'd imagine will be the game that you will keep on coming back to, is not as good as the Quest 2 version. I'm hoping, if I ever get a Pico and get IDU4, that I can look at that, whinge to Super Bright enough about it, and get that changed. But with the current nature of what's going on, we shall see. If you could just wait there a second. Wait your turn, sir. Is that behind me? So I am, and I was listening earlier. I am trying, because this is tough. This is a tough ask. I am trying to keep my bow out in front of me, so you can see just how much I am abusing slow time. Again, don't put more than a couple more arrows into the incubi when he has got explosives in. See all of that movement, that random erratic movement that he did because of the cataclysm explosions that were timing off in him? That will miss you shots. I guarantee it. You will lose life. I guarantee it. So you don't do that. Aim your divine sights high. You've got a possibility of a headshot if you aim them well over the head. Even a single divine sight has at least got a chance. I mean, they're not doing a very good job there, but... There we go, headshot there for nothing. Try and deal with this one. Ugh. Too quick. And, yeah, whoever was saying about In Death on the... Going too quick. Those should easily finish him off, so you don't want to fire anything more. Obviously pay attention to the life that they had left, like I fucking wasn't. And yeah, the In Death, the OG version has definitely been abandoned, although it may be better in some regards graphically, and in some not, because there's a lot of effects in there that are just going to get on your nerves, like enemies explode in a shower of gold every time. I can see that being nice the first few times and just really fucking annoying after that. But the game will feel like a quarter of what you have with this. As I said, I keep threatening to actually play the OG version for you guys, but my PC's not good enough to handle it, and it's a pretty old game. So, or at least I don't think my PC's good enough to handle playing it and doing the streaming side of things as well. My PC's not great. And I'll be honest as well, I did not find a very good experience from the tracking side of things. Felt like my hands were constantly, like, almost shaking. I mean, I'm usually pretty steady, and in that it just felt like, I don't know, it just felt really weird. You want one of those? Those will go off, so we'll wait before we fire another arrow. Thank you very much. Now, it's not sounding like the orphan is close, so again, in comparison to the last few pits that I've done in Purgatory, you'll note how slowly I am taking this in comparison. And even taking it slowly, I've still lost a lot of life. Happily, this is where I budget for losing life. Yeah, it's very bare bones. It looks nice and everything, don't get me wrong, but there's not as much to it. Yeah, I just need to get a better PC. One day maybe. But again, my concerns are, a lot of the people that watch me just have standalone. They don't do PC VR. The other concern as well is, I do believe that if I went PC VR, I may never return. There's far too much that interests me and for me to have a look at. But again, as we've discussed, Indy, the moment they drop a decent Warhammer or Warhammer 40k, it will probably spur me on to spend thousands of pounds to get that game looking as good as possible. And PC VR in it. Oh, right, sorry. Oh, yeah, I just went straight into the PC VR Master Race argument. Yeah, yes and no. It was abandoned pretty fast. They did support it for a while. I just don't think it did as well as they were hoping. And so they abandoned the project quite fast and then sold the rights on. But again, no one has access to any of the information, so no one really knows. But as you said, it just genuinely does tend to be all about the money. Right, I think she's over here. Strange that we haven't heard her yet, which is a little concerning. I don't think we've alerted her already. Well, yeah, get that Warhammer /Warhammer 40k game out and we'll talk. Let's see if we can visually alert some of these. In you come, lads, in you come. As I've said previously, don't be afraid to use the shield of a weapon to cycle through your random arrows. Hitting the shield, be it on a skeleton or on a knight, will count as a hit for the purposes of you not losing life. We don't want to fight that guy here, we want to fight him over here. So he is alerted. We know he's alerted because he is lobbing fireballs and making laughy noises. If we move to an area and give him plenty of real estate to teleport into, he will teleport eventually. There are 2 areas in this room. I think the incubi handle their teleports a little bit different to other enemies because of their size. In that they can only teleport to specific areas. With me, or with I find, incubi always teleport to there or there, and there's no like variation. I've never seen one teleport up to there, even though technically they could. And I think the reason being is because it would look janky as fuck if it teleported quite high and its head was through the roof, or it teleported quite low and it ended up clipping into a wall, which big flying creatures could quite easily do. There we go. What did he say? Oh. Now, if that had been an actual emoji, Cole, I would have got that, but it just said that you've said blank because of the bits and pieces. But just so you know, any sort of text that it just skips over it. I've got one of the guys in my chat regularly puts kanji or some Japanesey text in, and it just comes up with his name and blank. Always gets me looking. You want me to look at my screen? That's one way to do it. Right, let's... That's awesome. I mean, that should work. That's a bit crap that it doesn't actually, or it doesn't work that way in this. Again, I would imagine I know why. That's probably quite hard to make the differentiation between in code. Let's let that knight come in. We've also got some ghosties on the way. Let's pop that down. Put one of them in there, one of them in there, one of them in there, one of them in there. Lovely. Nice little Hand of God effect. I'll let him come close for the barrage of needles to the face. You can have that. Coming down. Pull! I do like putting Cupid's wrath into the ground on them and then them doing that jump. Brilliant. Right. Let's go high. No worries, dude. Oh, you streaming tonight? I'll see if I can do a redirect. I didn't realise you were streaming. Cool, no worries. What are you streaming, dude? I hope it's that space flight simulator game again. I was having a great time watching you pull out those stonking manoeuvres. They were great. Oh, I hear an orphan. Right, let's get him. Right, that's a good arrow. Ish. We could do it better, though. What was he saying he was streaming? Oh, no. Yeah, no worries, dude. That's what we want. Now, I will quite happily bin off what I'm doing because there's not actually that much left in the pit for us to do. So let's get straight in. The orphan's up above. She's making a run. Dump. Kill that. And leave the same way we came in. And go very, very far away. Now, Hand of God is a great arrow for us to have landed on here. Because it's just going to make everything so much simpler. Nice lot of headshots we're getting out of this as well. In Hand of God, if Hand of God's down... Oh, tracking. Hand of God's down. You shouldn't really have an excuse not to go for... Oh, don't do this to me, arrows. Come on now. Not to go for headshots. Close range. This should be. Remember that things like Tempests and Cupid's Wrath... Well, Cupid's Wrath definitely. Tempests occasionally can get hits. But Cupid's Wrath... and Tempests will... Well, Cupid's Wraths are the worst for ghosts. They won't even stun them. Because they just don't target them whatsoever. Which makes them an absolute pain in the arse. And so now, all we're going to do here is we're going to get cleaned up. Let these boys teleport in. And again, even this sort of range, especially with some of the arrows that I'm getting here, I would wait. Because I don't want to lose any more life. That might hit him. Let's just check. Yes, it did. Again, it's little things like, oh, I'll just knock an arrow into him. But that is close enough to electrocute him. But yeah, there you go. Oh, hello, Momity. And there we are. We are spunking that gold. And so we leave. That's it. Level over. I don't care about the rest of the enemies. I don't care that they are easy enemies to take out, because we have got an enemy configuration that makes this not even a real pit, really, because we've got skeleton warriors and knights. No archery stuff whatsoever. Still, even though they could be easy kills and easy takes, they're still not going to be worth a lot of points unless we're going for headshots. If you go for headshots, there's a possibility that you'll miss or you'll get passed through. That's going to cost us more life. We could easily leave here, even though there's only a few more enemies, with a few less points of life. And I'd rather not, because I want to keep the run going further. We're not doing a lot of work in each level, but we need to make sure that we keep our life nice and high. I find the best way to end these style of runs is just by deviating from the kind of strategy that I'm laying, the overall strategy that I'm laying down. There's plenty of times where I've done it, where I've like been at the 2 million mark and then very close to the person, like very close to Cam when he was at number 1. I was like, oh, well, if I just go and kill a couple more archers and just kill a couple more knights. And you find then that that's when your shot misses start creeping in. That's when you start taking damage. That damage then starts building up, and all of a sudden you've got a run that's gone from fantastic to shit in about as quick a time as it takes to say the bloody word. Now, this isn't a great arrow for the orphan. However, we are at the stage where we are going to take bites of her. Won't say anything else. Let's check, see if she's here. If she is here, she'll spawn in. Good afternoon. That's a very nice arrow to see as our secondary. So we don't even need to take bites of the cherry. We're just going to leave. The tactic that I showed off in the last one, and I didn't have to do it, is when you absolutely positively do not have the arrow that you need to deal with the orphan, and you haven't got anything easy to take out to do so, or you are at a higher cycle where even a volley times 5 will not KO her in one, the tactic then becomes go in, drop a headshot into her, and get the fuck out of there as quickly as possible. Because if you are following this strategy, you won't have cleared the level. As you start moving away from the orphan, she will despawn because there are other enemies all around her taking priority, which will cause the orphan, as you move away from it, to despawn quicker. Once it despawns, we could do with a better arrow than Hand of God. He says going into Anakin, what? Let's pop that one in there. That's, yeah, Divine Sight times 3, I'll take that. That's homing. Some very strange selections on arrows, eh? So again, the reason why I do this is because I don't want to have to even contemplate a miss on the opening shot. The opening shot is very far away. I don't want to miss it. It is a big target, but I don't know about you, but I am very happy, very comfortable, and can easily miss that shot from back here, which is where we want to be firing it from. So let's just wait for the boy to turn around. Let's plant this one into him. And let's deal with these boys. Easy. Now. No, the orphan will spawn back with the health that you left them with. Every time. In fact, I was doing it differently, wasn't I? I was starting over here to lure him into this corner so I can bring him across to that corner to then get him. We probably could burn him down at this point. Now, this is part of the reason why you want to be going for the burn down tactics, is because at some point, whilst I'm working the room, you will inevitably get an Azur's Fury. That Azur's Fury will inevitably chain into the Knights, which then brings them down on you, which then just makes proceedings a lot harder. You could lock the Knights. The problem with that is the moment that you kill an abomination, the Knights will unlock. which we don't want. Oh, might get it there, actually. Those divine sights there, doing a fucking job. Let's see if we can get those boys spawned behind us. Does give you one less thing to worry about if I can spawn these guys. There we go. So we've seen the head flinch, which means that he is spawning. He is gonna. The archers are going to spawn. Deal with that guy. Deal with that guy. Deal with that guy. And then we move. So we've now got these ones behind us. The next group that we want to get of... Ideally, you want the 3 over there, but it's not worked out for us. But we have got a decent chunk of life off of him, which is nice. So what we want to do now, lure him up here. You could use the knights here to try and get the arrow that you want / need. The problem is, by the time you get to where you want to fight, the arrow that you want / need will not be the arrow that you want / need anymore, if that makes sense. So let's KO that knight. Deal with them. Now, a Winter's Bite here would be really nice if everything would get out of the bloody way. Now, if I do that, it might be enough to spawn... Should be enough to spawn these boys, but that's not been fortunate for us. Try and deal with what we can before we move. Now we got to move. We can kind of do what I was talking about here, where we can start blocking off the line of sights. Again, alcove is a nice safe place to move to. More often than not, if monks can't teleport to you because they haven't got the line of sight, there is the possibility that they will choose to walk. Do you want that? Yeah, you can have that. Ooh, saw you the last second. Now, curse isn't ideal for us in this situation, and what we're doing now is we're just moving around the room to try and separate these archers from the threat, which is Anakim, his knights. Through the head. Come on, Super Bright. Aren't we beyond this by now? So, we've now done pretty much everything that we want to do. So what I would like to do now... we're going to have to get that red knight. He should get to us pretty quick. What I want to do now, ideally, is get him into... Oh, you little shit. Thought I teleported soon enough. We want to get him into this corner. And we'll go again. Now, Hand of God would have been a great opener for that, for what I've got planned. But we'll take what we can get. Now, he should go around that corner. What I want to make sure is that he is locked into me at this point. So what I was saying about with the movement stick. At this point now, I am jammed, packed into this corner. I will drop that on him, actually. This will... no, I'll let... damn it. So, I am now jammed into this corner. I am pulling back on the stick as I teleport away. Directly into this corner. He should go into that corner, as he has. We're going to tuck ourselves in nice and tight. And then we are going to let fly. And hopefully get some really good non-heavy arc arrows. Ugh, that was horrible. We're going to deal with the threats as they come at us. Hand of God is obviously great in this situation. And we are not going to look behind us. So it's not too dissimilar. And you've got to pay attention with your shots, because he could go down with all the effects that are going on him quite soon. One more. There we go. So you've got to pay attention about his life bar as well when he is getting down to that last ick of life, because there may be effects that are going on that you haven't seen, haven't accounted for, or what have you. So it's basically working the room lightly to ideally what you are aiming for is you don't want monks to have the ability to spawn in these 5 alcoves. If you've managed, you should always be able to get those 2 and possibly usually these 3. If you can't get those ones, then it just means that you need to stick tight to this pillar. And by tight, I mean like almost fucking in it. But that has its own risks. If you can get those 2 activated and done, and those 3 activated and done, you can use this entire frontage to fight things in basically that area. You then don't have to worry about anything spawning in behind you. I can assure you it won't hit you, or they've never shot at me. They will, however, shoot at you if you turn around and look at them. The worst that should happen is they teleport into your line. Teleport into your line of sight. We can deal with that. So that didn't go too badly. And again, back up to full health. Easy, right? And yeah, sorry, Amy, I can't remember if I answered your question. I think I did, but yeah. Every time you take a bite out of the orphan, she will respawn back with health loss included. She hasn't despawned like a knight does when they fall off of the level. And so one of the things that you may or may not know, because it's a good question and it's worth asking, if an enemy falls off the level, if you have done damage to them, when they are then respawned back into the level, approximately 2 to 3 minutes later, they respawn back into their original spot and they respawn with full life. Or if an enemy despawns, so isn't removed from the level, isn't thrown off the level or anything, if the enemy despawns, then their life bar is accommodated for. Their life bar stays at what it was at. Let's do a little bit of cycling, see if we can grab a decent arrow. But we don't want to be too concerned about that because we've got some nasty stuff to get through before we even need to worry about that. That's good. Right, go on, Curse. Go, Gadget Curse. Do your thing, honey. So what I'm doing here is I'm clearing what I'm going to be using. I'm actually getting decent arrows for doing so as well. I'm clearing what is kind of going to be my exit pad, I guess, for making some big leaps across the level in a moment, because we're not here for the killing. We're here for the orphan. We're here to KO Gabe, and then we're gone. I like to jump at the back here to this spot because you are reasonably clear. You don't need to deal with anything. You can then jump up on high, teleport across, and we're gone. And those guys are too. Now, Cat 5, not too bad. Paradise Lost is likely the level that I would make a point of actively taking bites out of the orphan, depending on their positioning. Now, I would say, again, the orphan isn't here. I believe she is going to be exactly where she was last time, which, if I remember rightly, was in that middle ground. So we'll get high. We'll get higher. We'll get here. We'll go across. Again, keep the bow out in front of me so you can see how much work I'm putting in on the slow time button. I like to go across to here and then straight up to there. Again, slow time in all the way. Hitting that arch will teleport you up. Stay high. We're listening for that laughter. Haven't heard it yet. Oh, she can't be down there because this is a different configuration. Fantastic. Let's go over here then. Gonna start dealing with enemies because there are too many enemies in our vicinity for the orphan to spawn. And we're only here for one thing, and that thing's name begins with an O. So we need to get it, because if we're squandering all the rest of the points that are available from the level, we've got to get done what we're here to do, which is killed that O. So now that we're kind of at the back of the level, we're going to start dealing with the things that show up. And I will quite happily have a little smoky here. I am still, because I know this is when they teleport in, still abusing slow time off cam a little bit. As I think I've said before, the reason why I do this tapping is because I'm not as patient a boy as you might think. Good evening, Dan. No worries, dude. Oh, hunting indeed. The reason why I tap is because I'm not as patient a boy as you all might think, and I tap to keep the game speed going, kinda, but so that at a moment's notice I can stop tapping and stop the game to where I want it to be, or advance time in at my pace and not the game's. I want to be in control, not them. Let's put another one of these up there, because they're all dead from that. They are as well. It does have a tutorial, and a very good and extensive one. You should know everything that you need to know in that game. Hey, hey, I hear me and O. Gotta get that O. Right. Now, Zeus Fury is a dangerous arrow, because it might zap her, but we haven't really got much choice. We are most likely going to have to clear that landing if we don't get a good arrow, but there's volley 3. Let's go. I think she's up high. Nope, she's one lower. I think she's down here. Good evening. One there. Give it a couple of taps because I don't want to miss, which I almost did. Big hail of arrows finish. Nope. Yeah, no worries, dude. And then hail of arrows. And we're out. So that wasn't ideal. What I could have done there, if she was in a tougher spot, would have been to put all of that damage across onto her and then just leave. But because there weren't too many enemies around and there was a decent amount of cover, I was quite happy to stay. If you are later on, if I was taking a lot more damage than I am at the moment, I would probably have left that scenario. That wasn't the greatest place to fight in, but it was all right. Oh, I'll try and show you this as well. So we know the 3 places that Gabe can spawn. Over there, here, and there. If you can walk through either of those, any of those areas, then he isn't spawning there. I've walked through that one, I've walked through that one, and so without looking up, I know he's coming over there. Damn it! So maybe I didn't walk through this one. Missed the spot. Enemies showing me up tonight, are they? Not doing what I ask. Gabe not showing how I can predict his landing. Incubi's taking forever. Bastards. All of them. But yeah, normally you can, if you can't walk through the spot, I think I've demonstrated it before. Probably demonstrated it enough. If you can't walk through the spot, that's where he's landing. You can, I mean, the argument is you can just as easily look up. So again, nice, we keep it nice and simple. Dodge his blade, come back out, put some nastiness into him. If you hit him with cupids, and we've got to remember we've got a cat in there as well, wait for those to go off before you continue your avalanche of shots. Tempests, we like Tempests, we can get easy headshots with those. Aim on this mode, because you can't afford misses, just aim for him. The trick with Tempests is to aim slightly higher than you think you should, and you will usually get the headshot. When he has done his 3 strikes, you've got maybe a second or 2 to hit him again. Don't be tempted to hit him when he starts retreating. That's how you lose life. and we'll go to the opposite side of the pillar, and we put our shield up for that exact reason, because sometimes his fireballs will be a bit sneaky. Headshot for you, cat, pestilence, volley 3, and away, 2, 3, shot, 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 and then we'll go back to this side. Shield up. Let him do the work. And he's coming in for a swoop. Take cover, shot, shot, high, because divine sight, and they might go into his head. Remember that we've got a cataclysm on him. Wait for those to explode. Now, in this situation, Hand of God, I know he's going to retreat. This would be a waste at this point, because we're not going to get to keep him there in the Hand of God bubble for very long. So we'll let him do his attack patterns. If he's going to fire fireballs, that's fine. We'll pop our shield up on the other side. Let them collide in. Step back out again. We want him to swoop. As soon as he swoops, does his hit, stick him with a Hand of God. And that should be all she wrote. Yeah, bloody Cupid. Cupid's Wrath are a little bit of a liability on this, on Gabriel in these latest, well, in any stage really. But that's because they can knock him really far off path, and they do it instantly. And again, always try and arc those divine sights in. It does more damage. I'm not really after the points of the headshot. It just does more damage. Now, as discussed, you could say, well, you haven't been very efficient there, Rob, and I am a min-maxer by nature. So what I could have done is evaluated the fact that I was at the end of the level, killed the orphan, and then, as I said, oh, I've got full life. And I could have gone back through the level and started killing everything. And if you are better at me than doing this, and I'm sure you might be, you will know when to stop. But then, of course, you might think, well, I know I'm getting 3 health at the end, so I'll stop when I get to 3 life, so I'm definitely going into Abyss with maximum. Then, so you lose 3 life in the level, then you come to Gabriel. You'll be able to do Gabriel without losing any life, no problem. But you then won't. You'll lose an extra couple more, and then you'll take these, and they'll all be 1 life, and then you'll be left with 2 down on your life bar. And it's these slippery slopes as you are playing through the cycles in this style that just fucking build and build and build and box you into a corner where you haven't got the life to risk going and getting that orphan. Hell, you don't even know if you're going to be able to do Anakin this round without missing an arrow, because it isn't as much about the hits, it's about the misses. It shouldn't be about the hits at all if you are planning on going far on this. Now, we know where our pit is. I will still... Thank you, Vega. Good shout, good man. Oh, we're still looking pretty good. 70% and 9%. I don't know. This is like, I've had my headset on charge all day today. I haven't taken it off of charge. I haven't played it today. I really wanted to play Primal Hunt. But I thought, no, I'll leave it so that we get some good time in on this tonight. So I really don't know what my charging habits are. Sean's made a suggestion with what I could do with my, between my Elite head strap and my actual head strap. And his suggestions are good, but what I have is I have these magnetic chargers. I don't think they're the issue, and I use them for convenience. So I put like a little receiver into the... what is it, USB Type-C slot that then makes that receiver magnetic, which then means that whatever I have these receivers in can be connected to magnetically by a cable that charges them. And I do it for convenience, just makes my life easy. I can use all of these cables that I've got on any of my devices, and they just clip in magnetically. And the one thing that I do love about them, more than anything else, I mean, most of them have got fast charge facility, but one of the things that I love about them more than anything else is you're not constantly taking your cables in and out of things, because that in and out in on those sorts of things, like, you know, it's wear and tear. I don't think my Quest would be anywhere near as healthy, especially on the port side of things, if I was constantly taking the charger in and out as much as I would usually do over a 2-year period. So, just one of those little things, I guess. Are you going to finish it, or shall I? Do you want to do it? Cool, nice one. Right, we need to be thinking about cycling arrows, don't we? Volley 3, maybe. Not that. I don't think the orphan's going to be on this stage, but, you know, I've been wrong before. This area is perfect for, well, say perfect. One of the... Bear with. I would possibly say, Kyle, that might be your thumbstick on the way out, sir. What that might be... Oh, these were... Remember I was saying about skeletons and they're teleporting things? Having these on the roofs was my indication that those were roofs that were valid for a skeleton to teleport up to, and some others as well, but it was usually these. So if you are walking... and you randomly start slowing down, the reason being is because you're potentially, it's the only thing I could think of it could be, is that the backward on your stick is jamming occasionally. So you'll be walking forward and then imagine that your stick is malfunctioning a little bit and occasionally going to the backward position as well as forward. So then the backward position that it's putting on the controller counters your forward momentum, if that makes sense, and so it slows you down. I had something quite similar on my left strafe, in that I would be strafing left and then I would start doing that and slowing down, and then occasionally that would happen. And I would just keep on getting... Now, I'm doing that myself, but I would keep on getting thrown back to the right. And it's fixable. There are temporary fixes in that you need to clean the controller. But the thing is anybody who's taken my advice or anybody's advice on cleaning controllers is once you have to start cleaning the controller, i.e., and I'm talking about getting proper inside it. Oh, didn't realise you were there. Right, let's deal with you. 1, 2. Oh dear. You can have one of those then. Yeah, she won't run any further. Let's just make sure there's no other threats. Ooh, good arrow. We'll block that. Wait for her to stop. Finish her off. And back to safety. Yay! Oh, we need to be over here. Again, nice bit of ducking to avoid those cupids that were eyeing us up there. And now we've got to wait because we've alerted some cupids, so I'll make sure I'm in cover, out of line of sight. I'll even take a knee whilst I'm doing this, just to make sure that they have to teleport in for us to get them, because I don't want to have to fight them later. We'll see if they either teleport in and we'll get them, or we'll just head straight off into the pit, I think. You lost interest? No. Ugh. So, what was I saying on these sticks? Yeah, once you get to the point where you're having to clean the sticks, you are unfortunately on a slippery slope of having to always clean them. And it will, sneaky, it will get to the point where it will just get to the point of failure regardless of cleaning. Your only option, really, realistically, is to get them sent away under warranty. Contact Oculus. They will have to have the controller off of you. Incursion at that distance. Piss off. They will have to have the controller off of you for 2 to 3 weeks. You will need to contact customer support, report it, give them all the details that they need, get it sent away. Do it before your warranty runs out. I've had to do it 3 times on my left controller, once on my right across the 2-year period. I've never had any problems. So there we go, agony. They might have sorted it out, or we might have... So what I said about earlier was saving and quitting to try and force the game to not give us the pit in the order it wants to. It wants to give us pit of despair, pit of agony, pit of despair, pit of agony, and keep cycling between them. By saving and then reloading the game, you in essence reset that order. So although we got agony again, that doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't work. It's when you come out of the game and come back in again, it basically resets it back to a 50-50 chance of which of the two pits you will get. Unfortunately, on this situation, we've got agony again. So now, the testing that I did that points to that, I won't say proves, but the testing that I did that points to that as the way that it works was last season. So, you know, things change, like skeleton, archers, and roofs, and knights teleported spawning in the middle of things. All these things are subject to change. Where are you going? You're going to keep teleporting, aren't you? Where'd that other one go? Definitely heard another teleport. You gonna do it, or you gonna do it? No? Okay. Holy light. Brilliant. If you'd like to come back, that'd be great. Ugh. Coming to my lair? No? Now again, I am going to be very antsy with this take, because I don't quite know where she is yet, but I will do in a minute with a couple more kills. Where do you think you're going? Let's get a shot. Hey, Divine Sight works! Who would have thought? So, Divine Sight 3 is not too bad. I think we'll use that to take out that orphan. Maybe the ones below. Is he still there? No, he's gone. Oh, I think you're bottom floor. I think you're bottom floor, love. Yeah, I think she's right at the bottom. Okay, so that's actually unfortunate, because Volley 5 would be a great arrow for her right now. So what we're going to do here is we're going to deal with everything up here. We're going to hope. Don't like doing this on a hope, but it's kind of all we've got. We're going to lure what we can up to the top. We're going to cycle what arrows we can whilst we're doing this as well. If I get a good enough arrow, I might do a run on her. We'll see. Hope that went in. I think that went in. So we'll get the other Black Knight up here. Hopefully I get to Winter's Bite him, and I might cycle some of my arrows on his shield. But we've got to remember we do that. That was fortunate. Right, no. Nah. Oh, superhero landing. Whoa. 9 out of 10. Horrible on the knees, though, as I understand it. Hellfire, no. Cheeky. That's not the greatest of arrows. This is where it gets risky, especially if you were at higher cycles. In some circumstances, it might be a better idea to dive in with a really good arrow. The other thing that you can do purposefully, if you've got lots of life and you're planning on doing this, is you could even take a hit to get that damage boost before you go in on the orphan to ensure that you kill her. Now, what I want to do ideally here is I want to land past the orphan so that she has to flee from me, which brings her up here, which is safer than being down there. We're going to play this by ear. We're going to be doing a lot of slow time. I do expect to be hit. Let's go! Pop a shot in him whilst we're here. Pop a shot in you. Look, look, look. Fire. Where you gone? That's bullshit. Right, so now she's made her move and gone somewhere completely bad. I don't think she's going to be able to get away from us, but we are in a bit of a hairy situation. She's quite happily being lightninged, which means she can't move away. Hopefully that'll get you. And now she is, so we got to move. Oh yeah, cheers, Divine Sight, you beauty. So there's one hit. She's dead, we're out. I could have continued the fight down there. I could probably won it. But what's the point? Not when I can retreat. I will happily put a curse of... Oh, God. That was terrible. After all that excellence down there, that was absolutely terrible. Should be using these arrows for downstairs, really. So yeah, we retreat. But again, we've got plenty of life. I won't be saying that later, though. As long as we finish this with a couple of blocks left, then it's not too bad. And again, it's the pits that we accommodate our life loss for. This is where it's risky. This is where you'll lose the life. Now, we want to kill that incubi. I don't want to have to go down there to deal with him, because that's long shots. We will come up here, we will look here, I will have a quick water break and a smoke, whilst he inevitably... I said I'm having a water break and a smoke, incubi. Let's go. Keep my finger on the button, because inevitably, whilst I'm dicking about doing this, he'll teleport up here. Prove me wrong. He's not going to teleport up here, is he? You haven't got long to catch me by surprise, if that's what you're planning on doing. Why you always prove me wrong, Incubi? Normally, if I wasn't playing, it'd be like first move. Oh, there we go. Well, he has teleported up. He's just teleported into the wrong area. So, we want to fight him here. I mean, I hope I don't have to explain why. Nice, easy time of it. We should be able to get some headshots out of him as well if we really want to. These are all worth points. But ultimately, we are here for the kill. Close the distance. One of the things to note is, if he is in the hand of God, and you hit him in the head, notice how he is coming further and further down. Sean, that's how I don't take Cataclysm ones, because I can put an incubi into the lava with just Hand of Gods, which then frees me up a quiver slot for an arrow that I do want, which in that circumstance would be volley 5. Get your life as soon as you've dealt with that incubi. Get your life now so that we can literally bound straight over there and be out. So that's not too bad. So our exit is right ahead of us, but there is one more obstacle in our way, and it's this guy. If we try and go round that side, there's the possibility that we might get hit by his aura, but that's unlikely. You would then also have to jump past a lot of enemies, which could easily tag you before you can get to the portal. This is, I mean, Unholy Light is the worst arrow to have. This is an easier proposition. Killing this guy. If you try and teleport past him without killing him, there is a very good chance that you will get tagged. When you do kill him, wait for that pentagram to disappear. I have been hit plenty of times by the summoner when he's dead because his pentagram is still on the floor. Once his pentagram is gone, straight line here and leave. Pit done. Nice lot of points. On to Asmo. We will be teleporting back out of the pit to where we teleported in, which is why I teleported in from where I have teleported in from. We have got the incubi from this level. We're done here. We are leaving. Again, I'm one life shorter than where I want to be. I'm not a maximum life, but that's not too bad. I could now make use of my life knowing that I should be able to get through Asmo, and I should, on average, from a boss, you should be getting 4 life back. One of those 3, through averages, should be a double at least, because there is a 30% chance of a Blood of the Lamb being a double heal. So this is another thing that This is another thing that I haven't discussed with this tactic, is how much life can you accommodate for per cycle? How many hits is too many hits? How many hits can you give away? Can you really be thinking later on about dipping your toe in the lava to get the bonus arrow damage? I'd say never do that unless you've got so much life that you don't know what to do with it, but then that again brings you on the slippery slope. So let's look at the math of that. There are 5 Blood of the Lambs available to us on Purgatory or Desolation. Why you'd go there, I don't know. There are 3 Blood of the Lambs available to us on on Paradise Lost, sorry. And then there are another 5. So this is 3 from each of the bosses and then 2 from each of the pits. So that gives us a grand total of 13. There is a 30% chance that we will get 2 life. So basically, if our luck was out and not one of those bloods gave us life back, there is enough blood across a cycle to give us 13 points of life back. If there are 13 going, in theory, every 4th blood should be... I mean, it doesn't always work out like this because of how randomization and math and percentages and such work, but in theory... every 4th blood or every 4th blood you collect should be a double, and we can assume that there are 3 instances of that happening across a cycle. So that then means that we should get 13 plus 3. So you should now, with how the rules work, be able to heal up to 16 across a cycle, and that which should be at minimum. So that does give you an idea of what mistakes you can make and where you can make them. The problem is where you start making too many mistakes on the one level or before you've got to the boss is the problem. Get rid of that. That goes in the ground. That should have as well. That's dangerous. No, 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 no. That'll do. No, no, no. There we go. Cat 5. And then what we're going to do with that is we're going to throw that at that angle, kill them all, stare them down for just a second, and then teleport away. All the way away. And keep going for a few extra bounds, just in case there's any extra skulls along coming after you. Now, the reason why we do that is because it's very easy to miss those skulls. You can get some really garbage trajectory arrows that will ruin you when you are trying to hit the skulls. So don't take the risk. We've got a Hand of God, so I'm going to put that into his groin, because that now puts him into slow time. Remember, he is in slow time, his rocks are not. That should make killing that last one easy. I'll let these go into the back of me. A couple of little teleports. They've already gone close enough to me to activate, and then they're done. Now, his shield is up. We can't cycle arrows on him anymore. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, though, but then there's other times, Al, where you could go and get, like, 2 heals every single time, it seems. I've had that, and it just comes in swings and roundabouts. Oh, that was a bad miss. It just comes in swings and roundabouts, unfortunately. It's the way of the game. Yeah, just stay there a second, mate. Thank you. Or if I can land this, that takes care of all of those. Lovely jubbly. That Hand of God. Putting a Hand of God into Asmo just before you pop his last blister is actually a really good idea in normal play. The reason being is when you get to the higher cycles, it buys you more time before the lava raises. If you've got more time, there's less of an inclination to panic, and you've got more time to deal with the bad stuff. Oh, I could do a great demonstration of my Hand of God here, if you'll allow it. It's a bit dangerous, though. Yeah, that's very dangerous, that. Let's get these dealt with first. Thank you very much. Oof, that was risky. Alright, ooh, you're still alive. Let's let Curse do its trickery. Put that into you, and that, and that. Finish you off. And you're not planning on moving, which is lovely. There we go. Easy take. I mean, it's only cycle 4. So it's the next cycle where this technique starts getting deadly. Or can start getting deadly. Because obviously from hits we are taking more damage. But again, there are ways and means that we can mitigate these factors. So again, we cycle our arrows. Not cats this time. We want divine sights, not 1 times. Cupid's Wrath times 3 are good as well, but that's about it. You could fire your divine sights high, as Sean was saying, in the hope of hitting the flanges when he settles now. But you could also miss a different arrow and cause yourself a lot of dramas. If you can knock a Hand of God into his groin, you can in essence cup Asmo with the Hand of God for bonus effects, and it obviously puts him into slow time. Is that going to go under the armpit? Didn't. Can make things a little easier. That's why you have to be careful on the dorsal flanges, because there's plenty of times where they'll get blown up by your various effects on the level and it'll get you a miss more often than not, which is why I like to make sure that I just do it with things like Divine Sight and Cupids, because you can cycle all day with anything else. Might be able to get those in. Damn it. Come back. Ugh. No. Sometimes he does glitch. You've probably all seen this, where he does the same side twice. Now we've got our Divine Sight. We will shard by voguing. Should have moved inside of that, but never mind. And let one of those fly. Should go through. Didn't finish off. The lightnings, I should have left the lightnings to do the job. That was unnecessarily risky. That's not hit. Again, I think I've spoke about it. I like to go here because it just gives you a better angle on the action. You can get straight up there as soon as the platform lands. So as soon as that hits, hit the edge and you're up, ready to deal with them before they've even spawned. We want to get away from that guy because we don't want his explosions killing the incubi. Not incubi. Abominations. Now we've got, I'm actually using the incubi at this point to cycle. I want a multi-variant arrow similar to what we would use for the orphan, but we don't need to have anything too heavy end because it's only a monk that we want to kill. He's now dead. Again, we will lure. Cupid's Wrath will do us a little bit of damage on Asmo's horns. We're going to let these guys come in. So we're going to move around. As soon as we hear that long roar, you're looking, see the flash. That's when we can start shooting. One down. Game! Slow-mo Asmo death pose for the win. Oh, I might have missed it there. Damn it. Or have I got it? No, missed it. Didn't go low enough. Didn't cup Asmo hard enough. And again, blah, blah, blah. Oh, actually, no, that's probably as efficient as ever. 1. There you go. So there was a 2. And there we go. Purgatory 5 on. Now, at this point, I want Desolation. I don't want Desolation. At this point, I want Despair. So I would continue going on now through this cycle until I got to Abyss without saving to ensure that I get Despair in the Abyss. However, we are getting close to time, so I'm probably going to have to save and quit at some point before then anyway. I don't think we've got time to do the pit. We probably have got time to do the orphan though. So let's, in fact, we probably, yeah, I'll do the orphan and then we'll... Oh, cheers! Fucking what a way to end it. I was nowhere near the bow. So there we go. We'll go back in and get the orphan, but I just wanted to show this off before we do that, because, I don't know, my battery might crash awful quick like it seems to do at 30% these days. Cycle 5, if you can get to cycle 5, and if you can kill the 25, 10, 15, 20. If you can kill the 20 orphans up until that point and escape the pits and kill the bosses, 1.2 million will get you in the top 10 currently. And I would like to think that we're doing pretty well, so we should be able to get at least another cycle or two. If I wasn't live streaming this, I would be doing this even faster than what I am now, because I wouldn't be pausing. I can get through a cycle in about 20 minutes, which means I can get up to cycle 6 in about, give or take, 2 hours. That for me is quite important, because that means I can put a decent score on the board, but I'm not as invested as you would think. I am invested in this game when I'm at cycle 19 and it's taken me 30 hours to get there. Then you're very much invested, and dying is an absolute nightmare. But when you are at cycle 6, 7, 8 and it's only taking you 2 or 3 hours to get there, not so bad. And as I said, I think there are a lot of lessons that you can learn from this style of play. Wildfire 5 isn't quite as good as you would think as an arrow, but we'll see what sort of damage it does on a cycle 5 orphan. It'll be about 2,500 plus the burn damage, if I remember rightly, which is 60 a tick or 30 a tick? Might be 30 a tick for 8 seconds. Let's go and have a look. I know exactly the orphan can only be, this configuration, we see it all the time, the orphan can only be in one spot in this entire configuration, and that is in this little L-shaped building at the back. One other thing that is potentially unique, I think there's some other configurations as well, is the portal to the pit cannot be here. I don't think it can be in that little courthouse up there. So now we're going to be taking bites of the old orphan. Won't say the other bit. Going to teleport straight in on top of her. Going to axe her with that. And then we are going to leave. She will still continue to burn. So she's still taking damage at this point. But we are leaving. And we want to get far enough away that we can't hear her stupid little laughter anymore. Oh, would you stop dicking around, guys? Come on, I'm trying to end the stream. Fuck's sake. This is supposed to be a really good outro example. You guys are wrecking it. So, we're going to have to deal with these guys, otherwise they're just going to become a pain in the arse. But it does give us a decent opportunity to cycle. You guys coming back round, or no? Just, yeah, that's what I was aiming at. Curse of God, not so helpful. So, at this point now, we'll now start going back in, now that we know that everything's despawned. That's useful. Pestilence is not going to help us. Let's find another target to cycle the arrows on. Shrapnel Blast is not going to help us. Incursion is not going to help us. Cupid's Wrath ×3, that'll have to do, because we're running out of enemies. And then we simply want to go back down to where we were. With Cupid's Wrath, I'm starting to aim those at the floor to make her bounce, which wasn't ideal. Finish her off. And we leave. If I'd already completed the pit at this point, I wouldn't be going back. I am now, at this point, going to find where the pit is, and I'm going to try and save in a place that would be appropriate for that pit. Now, as you guys well know, my memory is shocking. The way that I would remember, I always, where I can, try and put the pit ahead of me. But I can do that by saving at the other area. I wouldn't save there because I will forget to go back. If I save that way, I must go forwards because I'm trying to get to the end of the level. So this is just my way to remember whether I have done the pit or not, and whether I have... I mean, I always try and do the orphan at least when I'm doing it this style. We also don't have to worry about all these guys repositioning themselves or moving themselves by saving the game and exiting. Definitely keep my bow so far away this time. That guy won't be there when we come back into the game. He will respawn to his, or he will despawn and respawn to his original position. And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Comfortably in the top 10, as you can see. So, and yeah, I say about doing what I've done with the Orphan, and I say about doing what I do with the Portal, and you can quite happily quote me on that when I come into this game next time we play, and the first thing I will ask the chat will probably be after the intro, something along the lines of, does anyone remember if we did the Orphan? Do you remember where the pit is? These will definitely be 2 statements that I will make. And on those 2 massive bombshells, I will bid you good night. I have been Silver Tongue Devil. Good night.